everyone, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to my channel Squibbles Reads. So today is the first video of my Thrillers and More Thursday series since I've been back from my booktube hiatus, and if you are new here, Thrillers and More Thursday is a series that I do on my channel where I review and talk about books in the thriller and crime fiction genres. When you take a 5-month hiatus from YouTube, the number of really big crime fiction releases kind of pile up, so today I have 3 books to review for you guys that have been super hyped in the past little while. The first book is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, who is the author of The Girl on the Train, which everyone and their mom has really mixed feelings about. And we also have The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware is the author of In a Dark, Dark Wood and The Woman in Cabin 10. And then the last book that I'm going to review for you guys is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This was a book that was blurbed by Stephen King, which I think started all the momentum and excitement around this book. Also, if you didn't notice, these are all books that I acquired from the Book of the Month Club, which is a subscription service where every month they have 5 judges pick 1 book each, and then you get to select the book that you will be getting in the mail that month. All of these books are new releases and they're like $10 to $15 under retail price. I've been subscribed to them for about a year and a half, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because they have been super kick-ass and super on point with their thriller selections lately. I think they were offering Into the Water for like $9.99 like the month that it came out, so I just want to let you guys know that that is a really inexpensive place to get new release thrillers like these ones if you're interested in that. But that is enough of that. Let us get into the book reviews. The first of these books that I read was Final Girls by Riley Sager, and this revolves around the concept of the final girl, which is something that the press and the media made up to describe the lone female survivor of a really brutal and grisly attack or massacre where multiple people die except for the final girl. This is written from a woman named Quincy's point of view, and 10 years ago she went on vacation to like a little cabin in the woods with 5 of her friends, and there was a terrible stabbing and she was the only person that survived. Now, of course, as thrillers go, Quincy is trying to live a normal, quiet life, but she finds out that one of the other final girls, Lisa, has just died, and then another final girl, Sam, and Quincy are trying to find out what happened to Lisa. We also learn about their stories and their own truths with their events. This book was definitely super entertaining. It would flash back and forth from Quincy's past to the present day. It was very entertaining. It was most definitely the fastest that I have consumed a book since the beginning of the year. One of the most suspenseful things about this book was that there was a depth to the companionship of the final girls that I think you only get with a small group of friends that has been through the same awfully traumatic thing as yourself. And if you haven't been through that, you truly don't know what something of that magnitude is like. But it was also the focal point of the tension because it's like, can I trust this other person? And juxtaposing that trust and also that tension was really well balanced and really well done. I also liked how the scenes with more action were really reminiscent of like a slasher film or a horror film. It like takes place in the woods and it's all like eerie and weird and they meet like creepy people. However, all that being said, I did want more character development. This felt like a book where the author definitely wrote the plot first and then kind of filled in the characters. I don't know if that actually happened, but it definitely feels that way. Like right now sitting here, I can tell you a ton of details about the plot, like person A did this, person B did this, but it's really hard for me to come up with a description of the characters in my head. It also kind of toes the line with painting people with mental health challenges as a way to advance the plot. It's not quite there, but it is almost there, which is something that I definitely don't like. So I think overall this book definitely has its issues, but if you are a fan of slasher films or like light horror films, then I would definitely recommend this one for you. For me, the book fell between like 3.5 stars, but I can definitely see some 5-star ratings and also some 1-star ratings, so it's really dependent on the reader. So then we have The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. This book has all of my favorite tropes. So we have a boarding school called Sultan, and about 10-15 years ago there was a group of 4 girls that all went there together. We have Isa, who is our narrator, we have Kate, Fatima, and Thea. When they were there, they established something called the lying game, which basically is you would lie to someone, and then based on how convincing you were and whether the other person believed you, you would earn a number of points for every lie that you told. Of course, like you can probably suspect, all of this lying catches up to them and there is a body found near the school. Then there are some anonymous threats like, I know what you've done, you can't hide from for too long. So basically when I was reading this, I was picturing like Pretty Little Liars, but like 10 years later, and if they hadn't figured anything out yet. I was a little hesitant going into this, to be totally honest, because I liked her other books a lot, but the premises were completely different because those two were based on closed systems. There were no people going in and out of the scenario, so it was really claustrophobic and really reminded me and influenced by Agatha Christie. So the perpetrator of the crime had to be someone that was in the system. But this one felt totally different. It was not a closed system at all. It wasn't like overtly feminist, but it did focus on 4 successful women that are successful in very different but their own ways. However, they were all trying to deal with the past, and it talked about how each of them had changed and how they dealt with change. I would definitely say that compared to the other 2 books, there is less action and less whodunit, especially compared to The Woman in Cabin 10. If you've read that book, there is a ton of like shock factor and grand gestures, but I think I liked this one more than the other 2. It is more atmospheric and relies more on like Jedi mind tricks than like really scary, really creepy things. One of the women, Fatima, she is Muslim and she talks a lot about her faith and how she came into her faith. I personally don't identify as Muslim, so I can't really speak about the representation and how it was done, but if I do find any reviews of this book by a Muslim reviewer, I will leave it in the down bar below as I come across them. Overall, I did really enjoy this and I gave it 4 stars. And the last book that I'm going to review is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Like I mentioned, she is the author of The Girl on the Train, but this one again is a totally different concept. This talks about a river in a town, and this river is known for finding bodies at the bottom of the river, particularly bodies of women. So at the beginning of the book, there is a body found of one of the main characters, Nell, and Nell is a writer and she is completely fascinated by this river and she is trying to find the history of the river and she's writing a book about it. Throughout the book, we meet different women whose bodies were found in the river and talk about their backstories as well as other people from the town. So for starters, I am going to be making quite a few comparisons to The Girl on the Train because I like to look at an author's body of work and how things change or if things change. So this one is a totally different feel. It's definitely more chilly, more eerie, and it's not a domestic thriller, whereas Girl on the Train was a domestic thriller. So it was extremely insular. It had one main character with an obsession with a couple of other characters. So here I was pretty confused for the first third of the book because you meet so many of these women and so many of these different people from the town that it is quite hard to keep track of them. I had like a notepad doc open on my phone just in case I needed to write anything down that I wanted to remember. I didn't, but I took that precaution before when I got into like the first 50 or so pages of this. When I was a third of the way, I was just a little bit like frustrated and detached because I had no idea like who these people were. They weren't going super into depth about these. They were just kind of like little snippets and vignettes, so I wasn't attached to any of them. However, once we started connecting the dots a little bit, that's when I started to become invested in it, and it really made me appreciate the different things that she did with this book as compared to Girl on the Train, which is definitely more like punchy and compulsively readable, but I liked what she did with the descriptions of the town, which again were kind of like eerie, atmospheric, went into more detail about people's lives. And by the end of the book, I had formed kind of an attachment to the history of this town and how all of these people are connected to it in some way. I think Paula Hawkins definitely took a risky move changing things up so much with this one, because after Girl on the Train, I would suspect that people would think that her sophomore novel would also be like punchy and compulsively readable instead of like a slower moving, intricate, almost like a case study of a town. But personally, I did like this one a little bit more because Girl on the Train came out when there weren't a ton of thrillers out on the market that were like domestic thrillers with female main characters. So it got a ton of buzz at the beginning, but I think comparing the two, I did like this one better. I do like more atmosphere. I did like that there were a whole bunch of characters, even though I was super confused at the beginning. The mystery itself didn't have like a ton of grounding to it, but I didn't really mind that. It wasn't like my favoriteest book in the world, especially comparing it to like other atmospheric case study type books of a town, but I definitely did enjoy it by the end. I think I would give it around 3.5 stars, but I definitely liked it more than Girl on the Train. So that is it for this video. I'm just really happy that I'm making thrillers and more Thursdays again. They are probably one of my favorite videos to make besides wrap-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have heard of any thrillers that have come out lately, please let me know down in the comments below. I feel like I am still kind of out of the loop, so if there's anything that you guys want me to review or read or anything, do let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!